Welcome back to another episode of Reffing with the Sappers. Today we're going to review our first Fall League game of 2023. The particular game was played between Roseville, who will be in the black, and Folsom Lake Surf, who will be in the white. These are U14 Girls, so they were born in 2010. It was an exciting game that came down to a one-goal differential with lots of breakaways. Both teams had chances to win, and it had a few yellow cards and some upset parents, so it's a good one. Let's get into it.
For this game, he's going to be the center referee. Fortunately for me and Aaron, we were on a vacation to Santa Cruz with my mom. He, surprisingly, does not like roller coasters. So we were riding the rides while he was here having a boring soccer match. Carlos Ledesma has been on this channel a few times and is the assigner for Roseville, and he's going to be on the near side. And on the far side is Izzy. She's a young referee. I think I've worked with her before. So let's get this game started.
All right, getting this game started in a very interesting way. Not more than 15 seconds after kickoff, the black team's on the attack here. This player here has got the ball and is coming into the box. As she comes in, right there, she gets tripped from behind inside the box, and so we immediately call a penalty kick. So if we just go back here and we play this frame by frame, right there, she kind of kicks it forward, but then as she's running, she gets clipped on the ankle. There's several bodies in the way, so it's really hard to see the actual trip, but you see she clearly falls down from a trip in the back. I immediately call that, immediately point to the penalty spot and run to make that call. Now, this actually ends up being a really interesting penalty kick because I always try to walk through the mechanics of this, make sure everybody knows their responsibility. So you see me right here, I go and I talk to the keeper and I explain to her, you got to keep 1 foot on or behind the line until the ball is kicked. I come back here and I point to the other players outside and I tell them, you got to stay outside of the box and outside of that top arc until it's kicked. So now I've told the keeper what she's got to do. I've told everybody else what they've got to do. Here I ask the keeper, Keeper, are you ready? And then we end up taking the kick. And you see, she ends up making that save. Let's back it up a little bit here and play it in slow motion. And so right here, if I play it frame by frame, you actually see that she starts to come off the line early. And so she's already taken like a couple of small hops forward. And there is the moment of the kick. So she's actually already off the line. Now, maybe she's only off the line by about 6 inches or so, but she did come forward off the line, both feet off the line, and then she makes that save. So it was close enough that I didn't see exactly how far. Maybe I thought she had her foot further back, but that's why you've got an assistant referee over here on the side. So if we watch Carlos here, he's going to first, he holds out his arm and he does this. I didn't actually notice what he was signaling, but then you notice here he puts his flag and he holds it horizontally. So it's actually between his hands like this. It's not down at his side. And so that's usually the signal that an assistant referee wants you to come and talk to them. Here I start to see what else happens and I signal for a corner kick because I'm thinking about the next phase of play. And then I look over and I see Carlos holding his flag like that. So I know I need to go talk to him. You can barely see him on the edge of the screen here, the way the camera's in, but you can see him say, hey, she jumped off, she jumped off. So I end up going ahead and calling that back. And per the laws of the game, if the keeper jumps off the line and they save the ball, then it's a re-kick. So we end up allowing them to go ahead and take that kick again. On the re-kick, she did end up making the kick. So that was a mental error on her part. We do get some interesting commentary from the sideline on this one. If I go back to that moment that I go and talk to Carlos, let's listen to what they say. So yeah, you see there, after Carlos explains it to him, and then I have a discussion with the coach there, basically say, Coach, just so you know, it's because she stepped off the line. And then you hear a few of them parents on the sidelines are saying, no, no way, no way. But Per the laws of the game, that's exactly what should happen. So we're going to have a couple of decisions here. One was for the foul for the penalty kick, and the other was for the re-kick of the penalty kick for jumping off the line. Two correct decisions there. 7 minutes go by in this game before the next decision happens. And right here, we've got this black and white player on the far side of the field battling for the ball. And then right here, black's got it, and white just kind of comes in and gives her a push in the back. Pretty straightforward. Don't get a whole lot more simple than that. Another 3 minutes go by in this game before our next decision. This one, the ball's coming in, and we'll see the keeper kind of bobble it at first and then gain control of it. Now, per the laws of the game, the keeper does not have to gain control of it for very long, but as soon as they establish, even for a microsecond, a level of control, then now they control it and they can't be challenged for the ball. So let's watch this one. Ball's coming in here, white's on the attack. The keeper bobbles it there at first, and then right there she controls it, and then white comes and kicks it out. So if I back this up here and play it in slow motion, there the keeper bobbles it, white kind of nudges it forward there, but right there the keeper gets her hand on it. It clearly has it, from my perspective, between her hand and the ground with control, and then right there white kicks it out of her hand, and that's a foul. So I go ahead, I blow my whistle very loudly because I'm like, hey, I want to protect the keeper. I don't want that keeper to get kicked. And then you end up hearing some parents upset by that. But let's listen to it here. You'll hear me blow my whistle really loudly, and then you'll hear the parents. You hear them like, what? What? Well, of course, they don't see that the keeper had her hand on the ball from this angle because they're looking through. But it was just one of those kind of another funny moment. Like, hey, that's pretty obvious from my perspective on the field. So still early in this game, we have another penalty kick that's called on this one. So black is on the attack. This ball is currently not in anybody's possession, but it's been kicked long here. Black and white are coming in here to challenge for that, and then she gets tripped from behind there. Now, this ball is up for grabs at this point. Whoever's fastest is going to get to it, but black just gets in position, and white clips her on the ankle as she goes by. Now, I immediately call the penalty kick, come in here, and you see me pointing at the spot and granting the kick. But, we're talking here, should this be a card or not? The reality of it is, I believe this is stopping a promising attack, but per the laws of the game, if you normally stopping a promising attack would be a yellow card, but if you grant the penalty kick, then you downgrade the yellow card to no card, and that way it's not double jeopardy for that player. Ultimately, I think this is 100% the right call, and it's correct also not to give a yellow card there since we granted the penalty kick. A little bit later in the match, white is on the attack here, and they've got the ball down here. But the white player just pokes the ball over right here. And when it goes by, black kind of tries to kick it, but in the process, she loses her balance or she even trips over the ball there. White doesn't really push her. I didn't see anything a trip. I just saw two players kind of trying to go for it. So you see, I end up signaling, no foul there, play on. And we let that one go, and I think that one's the right call as well. Didn't even get any noise from either sideline on that one.
Our next call is going to be another PK.
There's a lot of them in this game.
A lot, apparently. So she just puts her arm up, and then the ball flying in hits around there. That's a pretty obvious PK. Her arm goes flying back. That's a very obvious handball. I think he immediately calls the foul. Really doesn't get much easier unless when they catch the ball inside the PK area, which did happen to me.
So it's unfortunate for her. Does end up costing her team a penalty kick, but their keeper ends up doing a really good job here of saving that ball. So ultimately, it did not end up resulting in a goal going the other way. So it's still a 2-0 game. But this was part of what made this game an exciting game. So we keep going. In the next moment we'll review, we've got another situation where the keeper gained control of the ball and the player came in and tried to make a play on it after the keeper had established control. Black takes a shot there, the keeper saves it, and then she jumps on it just as another player is getting there. At that point, I'm trying to protect keepers. She got a hand on it. She established even a microsecond of control. I don't want to risk anybody getting injured, so I immediately blow the whistle. Now, this attacker's foot never actually touched the keeper. She kicked the ball as the keeper was getting on it. The keeper ends up being kind of shaken up a little bit, though not really injured. But this ends up being important later because a little bit later in this match, in the second half, we actually give a yellow card for the other direction when the keeper actually gets kicked. But this team ended up wanting to point back to this situation and wondering why I didn't give a card here. But in my mind, there's no reason to give a card, and we end up keeping playing. Almost 6 minutes go by in this match before we have our next call. It's a very straightforward handball. So White is on the attack here. We see there she kicks it up, goes to her teammate who happens to have her hand out in front of her. And while the ball is on the other side of her body at this moment, you see her hand immediately flick over as the ball comes by. So her hand was in front of her. It hit that as it went through. Call that super easy.
Our next call is going to be a very important call in this game. So it's an offside call, but the ball is actually going to this person right here, who currently looks like their defender right there is behind her, therefore she's onside. And the reason that this is a very important decision is because right off it, the white player scores and makes a goal. So the AR incorrectly calls offside and calls back a goal. So this is a very important incorrect call. So this is going to be -2 deductions.
Yep, for sure. If you look at me, like I initially signal for a goal, and then I look over and I see that she's got her flag up. She's signaling very confidently. I have no reason to doubt her. If we go back and you look at where I was looking at the moment this would have been called offside, I was watching this area here for any potential fouls. I'm not really watching where this player is. So by the time the ball goes up and I look and I do see the white player further than the black player. I think she just got confused with the player who was in an offside position and just remembering that part of the law of the game that that player in the offside position has to get involved in some way. So after that, and obviously with it being a wrong call, that's a major decision. We do get a little bit of noise from the sideline. We get some parents who are saying, "How is that offside? There was a player in front of her." And then I get the coach asking a question here. So let's listen. Yeah, so he asked me there, like, "Can you ask her which one it was?" And I say, "No, coach, I'm like, we're gonna play." And then he says, "Well, can I ask her?" And I'm like, "No, coach, like, the call's a call. We're gonna play on." Now, ultimately, it's a little bit frustrating because now we know that they were right. I can understand their frustration, but it's also one of those, like, you got to go with the calls you've got on the field. You got to trust your teammates. Sometimes referees are going to make a mistake here and there. Sometimes they're going to be important mistakes. Players don't play a perfect game. Coaches aren't going to coach a perfect game. The whole reason we do the reffing with the sappers and we grade ourselves is to show that we don't do everything perfectly and we want to do better. We want to learn from those mistakes. And, it's unfortunate that this just happened to be a critical moment that had a major impact on the game.
We're sorry, Folsom. Our bad.
We're going to get close to halftime in this game, and we'll see here White is on the attack again. We've got another no call. So White comes in here trying to go after the ball. There's a shoulder-to-shoulder bump and then another shoulder-to-shoulder bump. End up no calling both of those. Let that play on, and we keep going.
Our final decision of the half is going to be an offside call. Here is around the moment of decision, and you can see that the white player, it looks like her entire body is off right there. So I think that that is a good call made by the AR.
After that last offside call, that ends up being the last call of the half. So we'll get the second half started here. This was an exciting second half because we didn't show it, but the black team actually scored a third goal in that first half. So it was 3-0 at halftime, and this game ends up being a final score of 4-3. So White makes a pretty impressive comeback in the second half here. So let's get it going. 1 minute into the second half, we've got our first call here. Black is on defense trying to get back, and White just kind of doesn't even try to play the ball, just kind of goes right through her back there, giving her a push. I didn't want to let that continue in the match, given that it was so much in the back and didn't even try to go shoulder to shoulder. So I call that and grant a direct free kick to the Black team. Here we're going to see another moment where a keeper makes a save, gets control of the ball, and then there's a hard foul afterwards. And I actually give a yellow card on this one, and then we get some dissent from the sideline. So let's watch it here. White is on the attack, and you'll see they get a nice shot on goal. The keeper saves it. Ball's bouncing around. The keeper tries to jump on it. And then right there, just kind of as she's getting to the ball, this White player who's on the other side here, we can't really see it clearly here, but she tries to kick at that ball. And in the process, she actually kicked that keeper in the face. Now, what I saw was that she was genuinely trying to go for the ball, and the keeper only just established possession just as her foot was coming in, and she did try to pull up on the kick. But nevertheless, she did end up actually kicking the keeper here. Given the force to the face, I thought I needed to at least give a yellow card. Now, remember, earlier in the match, we had a couple of situations where keepers also gained possession, and the previous one going the other way with the other team's keeper, and there was no contact with the keeper. That's different than this case where the kick actually contacted the keeper's face. So I see that, I run in, I immediately give a yellow card to this player because I don't want that to continue. Now let's listen to a little bit of the noise we get from the sideline here. So you hear the one parent say, "You got to be kidding me." And, in my mind, that's definitely a yellow card. And heck, I had even, for a moment, I had considered a red. That's some of your spectator bias. We also end up with the coach on this sideline trying to argue that that was exactly the same as the other play earlier. If I go forward here, there's a moment after she gets up that I look over and I see Carlos talking to the coach, and it seems to be getting a little bit animated. So I actually asked Carlos here, "Carlos, do we have a problem on that side?" And you hear him say, "No, we're good." And then after that happens, the coach keeps kind of jawing a little bit, and he starts to ask me the same question he'd been asking Carlos. So now I kind of walk over and I start giving him the, "Coach, your behavior is irresponsible, and I need it to stop." Just an interesting interaction. People see it bias their way. He thinks that's exactly the same as the foul in the first half. I didn't think the severity is much different. And so I think it's very much a warranted yellow card in this case. And I think it was still the correct call in the first half. But couple minutes go by and we're down on the other end of the field here when White on defense gets the ball and is kind of running through, and right there this Black player just kind of comes through and trying to steal the ball, misses it, and in the process drags her foot, and that White player ends up getting tripped. So we call that very straightforward, very easy. Up next, we're going to see a play here where Black has possession. She makes a really nice play to juke the defender who's on her. And in the process, the defender falls down. And it kind of looks from the sideline like a foul, but I didn't see any foul. So let's watch it here. See there, Black's got it. And then right there, she jukes the ball back, and then she comes around it. If I replay this here, right here, Black kind of takes the ball, dribbles it backwards, almost megs her coming back. I don't see any arm extension to push her down at all. And then she just keeps playing. So I was right there on top of it. I'm no more than 2 yards away. Now we end up getting noise on the sideline on this. Let's listen to it. So you hear this parent say, "Oh my gosh, they should have just pushed her down right in front of me." It's like, okay, well, maybe I've got a better angle on it than you do from 60 yards away, maybe right there. So this is something that tends to happen in these games that are kind of close, or maybe you've had a missed call earlier in the match, which we saw with the offside, and now they're upset about the yellow card earlier, but now it starts to become a everything you do is wrong type thing. But ultimately, watching the video here, I think that's 100% the right call. Here we're going to see two decisions that happen in rapid succession, both of them for potential handballs, one of which we call and one of which we don't. So right here, Black's got the ball, it comes over, it hits this player. She puts her arms in against her chest. They're tight against her body. Don't make her body unnaturally bigger. They're definitely within the silhouette of the body. And so I no call that one. And then right here, this white player kicks it up. So it hits her arm right there. That's a handball every time. I end up signaling for that. So let's go back a little bit here. In keeping with the theme of the parents are upset by everything that we do now, let's watch this and show again this thing that's definitely not a handball, but let's listen to the sound.
That, even though that hits her hands, not every single time that the ball hits someone's hands or arms is a handball. It has to be outside the silhouette of the actual body, but since it's inside, it's like tucked against. If she didn't have her arms like that, it would have hit her chest anyway. So she's just protecting herself, which is allowed in the rules. So with this one, she has her hand out like this. This is making her body unnaturally big. It's not a natural position. So that's a handball, unlike the other one, which is like this. This is a rule that maybe some more casual spectators don't really know about because they just hear handball and think that anytime that it hits someone's hand or arm, it's a handball, but it's really not.
Couple minutes go by, and then Black is on the attack here. They're kind of oscillating around the top of the penalty area here, but she kind of comes back to get this ball, and then right there she gets tripped, and it's just outside of the line. So it's 100% a foul every day of the week, but it is outside of the penalty area, so it's not a penalty kick, and we end up granting the direct free kick from there. A little bit later in the match, we're going to see a moment here where it's another good example of how a player can get the ball first, but then still initiate illegal contact afterwards. So this ball is kind of up for grabs here, and White comes in and actually gets it, but then she goes through the back of this Black player. If I back this up here, Black's trying to get it, but White comes in, toe pokes it from between her legs, but in the process, she continues through her thigh and through her back. So, yes, totally acknowledge this white player got the ball first, but she initiated illegal contact afterwards, which you're not allowed to do. We do end up getting some noise from the sideline. I think it's the coach here.
No shot. Got the ball, man.
You know, he's right. She did get the ball. You just can't initiate illegal contact afterwards. And I really felt like that was the right call. And watching it here, I think it's the right call every day. So almost 9 or 10 minutes go by in this game before we get to our next decision. We've got two that happen in rapid succession. Unfortunately, it happens on the far side of the field, and the camera's a little bit grainy here. But the ball's coming in here. Black kicks it. It hits off of this white player's foot who was challenging for the ball, and it bounces really hard off the ground and then comes up and hits her arm. And if I play that again here, I just felt like that was a natural motion. Yes, her arm was out a little bit, but she was like trying to gain her balance, and it just kind of went up off her foot to an arm that was in this natural running position. It just happened to be back like this. Katie, you've seen it here, and what do you think?
I think that it's a natural running motion. And like natural running motions, things like that, they aren't called as handballs usually, except in like certain very important decisions. But I think that's good to let that play since it seems like a very natural position.
Then just a couple of seconds later here, this black and white player are going for the ball here, and white does a really nice slide tackle, and then you'll see black ends up kind of tripping over her foot there. I think both of those are good no calls. I do think the handball could go either way, but I think it's okay not to call in this case. So. A little bit later in the match, we've got a very clear push here. So White's trying to gain possession here and run with it. And right there, Black just comes through and just really gives her a push in the back there. I considered possibly yellow carding there. I didn't think it was quite reckless enough, but I think it could go either way. Definitely a foul. Definitely called that one. If I remember correctly, I actually said something to the player there to be careful, and then we let White go ahead and get their free kick.
Our next call is going to be an offside decision. Right here is the moment of decision, and Black kicks it to her teammate who's offside right there.
Pretty straightforward. Now, at this point, we were getting fairly late in the match. I think there was only about less than 10 minutes left, and White was still losing by a couple of goals, but they started their comeback. They had scored a goal after that last offside call, and now things start to get really exciting in the match. We're not going to review the goals, but here there's a charge. So White's on the attack here, and Black just comes through and really clips her in the knee after the ball is away. So call that as a charge and give a direct free kick to White from there. As we move on to the next decision point, we start to see kind of that frustration level from the Black team growing as the White team has started their comeback. So we'll see another push here. So White's got the ball. They're trying to turn it, and Black just pushes her there in the back. It's not a super hard push, but it's enough for sure for a foul. At this point, I'm starting to really watch for numbers to see if I get persistence that I need to start carding. I didn't think that was reckless yet, but it is starting to really get on my radar to watch those things. So another correct call, and the game keeps going. Jumping forward a couple more minutes now, at this point, the game was actually tied. So White had come back and tied at 3-3. Black is on the attack here, and we're going to see a moment that there's a pretty hard foul. I end up giving a yellow card for stopping a promising attack, but looking at it, we really kind of think maybe this should have been a red card. So let's watch it here. So Black's on the attack, and then right there, she just gets fouled really, really hard. Now you end up watching me. I'm not 100% sure if that should be a red card or a yellow card. At that moment, I'm thinking, is this denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity or is this stopping a promising attack? And in my mind, it's going to come down to where were the defenders at the moment of the foul? I thought I saw a defender on the left-hand side a little bit further up. I think it was this player right here that I thought maybe had a chance to get in there. But I want to get my assistant referee's opinion on how far ahead she actually was and did she have a chance of getting in there. So you'll see here, I end up coming in, I blow the whistle really loud. I also make a note of what is the number of the player who committed the foul because I know I'm going to come back and at least give a card of some kind. And then I go over and I talked to my assistant referee. Now, at this point, I'm basically saying, hey, look, I've got a yellow for sure, possibly a red. I need to know from your perspective, were any of the defenders in a position that they could have made the play? And she says, yes, I think the defender on the far side could have possibly gotten there. So I end up downgrading this from a denying obvious goal scoring opportunity to stopping a promising attack on the grounds of that defender there. However, going back and watching this, I see this, the ball kind of comes over there and she doesn't even like try to play the ball. She throws her off. And plus, this player over here is still kind of, I don't know that she would have gotten there. So I'm kind of looking at that and thinking, man, I probably should have given a red card there. Katie, what do you think on that one?
So I'm going to go against you for the red card reasoning for you. So the reasoning that I think that it should be a red card is just because of excessive force and not for Doxo. So the reason I think that is because when she goes into it, she is like a yard, 2 yards away from the ball. But she looks like she knows full well what she's doing with grabbing onto her and shoving her down. So I personally think that it should be a red card for excessive force rather than for it being Doxo.
So this one's going to end up being a deduction, but going back to our original guidelines of the channel, we're going to score it as a correct decision for the foul, a correct decision for issuing a card of some kind, but an incorrect decision for the color of the card. So it'll be kind of 3 decisions with a deduction. Now, we do end up getting a little bit of noise from the sideline on this one, but I want to give kudos to the coach here because he actually acknowledges here that he's very lucky that this player doesn't get a red here. So let's listen to what he says here. Yeah, so you see me, I pull the yellow card out. You hear some parents start to say, oh, that's a yellow card? And then the coach tells them, like, yes, it's a yellow card, and she's darn lucky it's not a red. So, he's right. He actually, it's one I should have given a red card here, probably based off of what we're seeing. So, but kudos to him for being there and saying the right thing and explaining that to his parents. Now, that ended up being a critical moment in this match because remember, it was tied 3-3 before that foul. And then Black here ends up off of the free kick. She gets a really nice goal, top bin on the left hand side. So, as some of my colleagues might say, that's the soccer gods making it right. I missed the red card, but she ends up getting the goal. So, the ball never lies. Kudos to them for that nice shot. But yeah, I definitely missed the red card on that one, and it's something we can learn from.
Our next decision is going to be a no call. So right there, White gets the ball, doesn't really go through her body at all. So I think that that's a right decision.
Yeah. So now we're in the final couple of minutes of this game. And again, it's been an exciting game, very close, one score game. So everybody's really excited here. But this ball is bouncing around here. Black comes in, tries to challenge for it. In the process, pushes that white player down. Pretty straightforward there. Call it immediately. And I do have people yelling from the sideline before she even hits the ground. But that's kind of natural in these types of moments when it's super, super close at the end. But correct call there. In our final decision of this match, we've got another push. This one's kind of light, but again, it's so rowdy here at the end. I'm just trying to control the game. So here the ball comes in, they're challenging for it, but in the process, while that could be 50-50, I felt that this Black player gave her a little bit extra there, and it's right in front of the sideline. So I'm just trying to control the game. So I end up granting that, think it's the right call, and that ends up being the final call of the match.
So with that being the end of the game, let's see what our Sapper score is. With 3 deductions and 34 decisions, which leaves us a Sapper score of 91.2%. So this was a pretty good game, almost a great game.
Yeah, though, even with it being a good game, do still feel bad about taking away that goal in the first half. This ended up being a 1-goal game where Black won 4-3. The offside decision earlier was critical because it took a goal off the scoreboard for the team that lost. Possibly it would have been an equalizer, though you never quite know how games would have played out. The other critical decision was the possible red card, where I probably should have red carded a white player with just less than 5 minutes left in the match. And, so maybe there was a, incorrect decision that helped White, an incorrect decision that hurt White, could have gone either way. But some games go like this. Some games, the incorrect calls are more critical than others. This was one of those. But it was an exciting game and was really glad to have been part of it.
Thank you for joining us for this game review. See us next Friday for our next upload. I'm Katie.
And I'm Scott.
And we'll see you out on the pitch. Pizza and blooper time, let's go. Also, the hair, it's a vibe. Okay, great. Anyway, bye. Okay, what do you think of this lip color?
It's lipstick on my little girl. I hate it. I think you should get some that are green so the green screen will actually show your mouth through your mouth.
Only a select few people get to see inside my mouth.
Hopefully just the dentist.
You make everything dirty.
You make everything dirty. You're sending out the rice purity test.
You got a 15 on it.
What did you score?
99. I haven't even held hands with someone on Wednesday.
It's good. Because you're not 35 yet.
This isn't good. Do you like the shade?
It is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, you really did like working with her. She had good mechanics and tried to stay in position. She just missed that one. Which we don't know anybody who's ever missed an offside, do we?
You look super slim. No, but look at me.
I know, it's the cameras.
This is the picture you show people when you said it there.
She was on the line. She was hustling. She had crisp signals. Like all those things. I was thinking, oh, she might get Katie a run for everybody.
Wait, who won this game?
Black did. Yeah, I mean, it was a major decision.
Oh. Bro, you had it queued up. What is bro doing?
Right there. Okay.
Ooh, this lip shade is actually really pretty, though.
Okay.
My hair looks banging.
Ready?
Oh, my lord.
I think I should have called that handball.
I was just checking myself out. This is actually wild. I look so good. actually look so good, Dad.
32-45 offside. It's definitely offside. Oh.
You gasped in shock.
Yeah, okay.
Wait. Is this the plaster team that's going to go Daryl?
No.